start off with, and then if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand as we're going through, or you can just save them till the end. Okay, hopefully after we leave today, we'll all be really confident about what we're doing for NHS for next year. All right, now if you're an 11th grader or going to be, an 11th grader or 10th grader who participated this year, right, things will be a little bit different next year, just so you are aware we are changing some things. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do on whatever device you have is go to Schoology. Schoology is our main method of communication. Schoology is how we let you know if we have a meeting coming up. It's how we let you know about different events. It's how we communicate with you. So you want to make sure that if you don't check Schoology regularly, that's something you want to start doing. And if you don't have your updates turned on, that is also something that you want to adjust. Okay. Now, instead of having a Schoology group, I know you were all added to the Schoology group, we are actually moving to a Schoology course just for logistic reasons. So if you look at your courses, everybody should be added to this Cheyenne NHS 2021-2022 course. So it's got the NHS symbol, which is this kind of rectangle with the torch in it. So if you look at your courses, you should have that. If you look at Schoology either today or later on and you don't have that course available to you, you need to message myself. I'm Ms. Peterson, by the way. I skipped that part. Ms. Simonson or Mr. Curdy, who are the other advisors. All right? Because again, you have to make sure you're in that Schoology course because that's how we talk to you. Okay? All right, now in that Schoology course, we have a couple of different things. So first off, in that NHS information folder, we have a PowerPoint, and I'm just going to run through that PowerPoint because it basically lays out the important information, the highlights of what you need to know about being an NHS member. Okay, so I know you can't see this. You can look at it on your phone. You can just listen, whatever you want. All right, so what is NHS? Hopefully you're aware of that, right? When you signed up or when you applied, that was something that was listed there. We focus on those 4 pillars: scholarship, character, service, and leadership. Okay, and so as we're going through, right, those are things that we expect you to uphold: that scholarship, character, service, and leadership. Okay, so kind of the main things we want to exemplify here. And then, of course, our advisors, myself, I'm Ms. Peterson, Ms. Simonson, and Mr. Curdy. So anytime you have a question, feel free to come find us or to send a Schoology message. All right. So then the big thing with NHS, now you already met some of the requirements. Okay, in order to apply, you had to have a 3.5 GPA, and we check that once a year in the spring. So at the end of semester 1, we check your GPA, and if you still are meeting that 3.5, that's why you were either invited to apply for NHS, or that's why you are still a member of NHS. Okay, so if you, because we have 2 different groups here. Right, so if you were a member this year, right, that means you still met that, the requirements that we had laid out for you. If you're a brand new member, like this is, you just got inducted this spring, you're technically a probationary member right now, and you won't be officially inducted until you have kind of met the requirements for 1 year, so you won't be officially inducted until next spring. Okay? All right. So again, you are already meeting that academic piece of it, right, with your GPA. And so if at that, losing my words here, at that semester 1 mark, if you don't have that GPA, then at that time you would be dismissed from NHS because that is one of the requirements. Okay. Another requirement for NHS, this is kind of the main thing that we do as a group, are service hours or volunteer hours. So this year was different, but next year we're going back to our traditional 20 hours of service. So between now and next March, you are expected to get 20 hours of service or volunteer hours. Okay? So now there's a lot of information that goes with that, and that's on your slide in the PowerPoint. So you need 20 hours with a minimum of 10 in-club hours. In-club hours is anything that comes from us, anything that comes from the advisors. That's what we share out on Schoology. So you've all been added to the group for a couple of days now. So maybe you've seen like the Sign Up Genius links for the Sweethearts dance or the concessions or things like that. Those are all in-club hours, right? Anything I put out there for you, that's going to be in-club. Out-of-club is something that I don't put out there for you, right? It's something that you found on your own. Out-of-club, does have some specifications, some stipulations for that. Not everything counts as out of club. So when in doubt, please make sure you ask, okay? All of your 20 hours can be in club, all right? They can be, if you want to do all 20 of them through those opportunities that we share with you, they can be, but a minimum have to be. Everybody okay with that? Which means if you think about it the other way, only a maximum of 10 can be out of service hours, hours that you do on your own versus from that in club. Right? Not everything nice you do counts as volunteer hours, right? Some things are just being a nice person. They're not necessarily qualifying for our volunteering. So if you're babysitting for your family, your friends, if you're doing yard work for your neighbors, that's great, that's awesome. That's being a nice person. That's not volunteering for your NHS service hours, okay? Now we also do an hours check. So your first hours check, you should have at least 10 hours by Friday, December 10th, 2021, okay? And we do the hour check. That's a soft deadline, so nothing bad happens if you don't have your 10 hours at that point. We just send you a reminder saying that you need to be getting your hours. So that December check mark is a way for you to look, right? For you to look and for us to look and make sure that you're on the right track to be getting all of your hours by the end of the year. Now, March is a hard deadline, which means you either have it or you don't. You are in or you're out, okay? So by March next year, and I believe March 18th, you need to have a total of your 20 service hours, all right? Again, that's a hard deadline, so you have to make sure that you have those in there. Okay. Your job is to record your hours throughout the year on an hour log. So this is going to be a little bit different as well. We're changing it a little bit. We've changed how we keep track of hours every year I've been here. We have yet to hit on the perfect method, so hopefully this hour log will work for us. We highly, highly recommend you get your hours sooner rather than later, particularly around that December, March. The in-club opportunities fill up really fast. Don't leave it to the last minute, right? So anything that's coming up this spring, if you think of things that come up this summer, take advantage of those. Because once school starts again, things get kind of crazy. I'm sure you'll agree with that. So again, you want to make sure that you are working towards that and not putting it off to the last minute. Okay, questions so far? All right. And the hours, especially the out-of-club hours, it's a little weird at first, right? We get that. That's why I'm really emphasizing some of these points that we have questions on every year. So again, if you have any questions about those, just make sure you ask.
Will there be any opportunities in the summer?
You know what? There probably will be. I don't know of any now, but we usually do have a couple. And so if any of those come up, that's something we'd share out on Schoology. And so particularly if you have that like on your phone, then you could get the update on your phone and then you'd be aware of it. Yeah, so usually we have a couple that come out. I think usually in the past we've done something with Sentia and something with the fair, but we haven't been contacted about those yet. Yep, good question. Other questions? Okay. So in that next slide, what counts as out-of-club hours? So again, in-club hours, that's anything we bring to you. You're going to sign up through them on Shutterfly, which we'll talk about in a minute here. Donating blood will continue to count for 2 in-club hours if that's something that you do or are interested in starting. Now for your out-of-club hours, again, those are volunteer opportunities that you find. They cannot be for another group that you're a part of. In other words, there's no double dipping. So say that you're also in like student council, or you're doing something for your soccer, volleyball, football team, whatever, right? Or you're a part of a youth group at church. Anything you do through that, that's awesome and that's great, but that's volunteering because you're a part of that group, and that can't count for NHS, right? NHS is that extra, National Honor Society, right? It's that national honor part of it. It's going above and beyond, showing that character and that leadership, okay? So again, if you ever have questions on those, you can always ask, but you don't want to double dip with those. And again, so we get a lot of questions about church volunteering, so that's one of the things in there. So helping with things at church for your youth group, again, that counts as your youth group. That's not NHS. Or like mission trips, that's part of like your youth group. That's not NHS.
With the donating blood thing, is that just when it comes to the school, or can, like, if you went to BioLife and did it, does that count as, would that still count as like the in-club part, even though it's not at the school?
That definitely still counts.
Okay.
Yep, so anytime you donate blood, wherever it is, that is something that you can count as in-club hours. Awesome.
So for out-of-club hours at, say, a church, if you're not doing it for your youth group or for like a mission trip, would it count as out-of-club? Like if, say, volunteers to usher at a church?
That would not, because that's still a part of like being a part of your church and not necessarily like an outside volunteer opportunity that you're finding. Yep. Good question. Other questions?
Going back to the donating blood thing, what if you have someone donate blood for you, like you can't donate blood?
Then you have to find different volunteer opportunities.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So again, when in doubt, ask. So all these questions are awesome. That's the easiest way to decide if you're at a club are going to count. All right, so now, how to log hours in club. So a couple of things. So you're going to sign up for the event on Shutterfly. All right, so I know we've been using Sign Up Geniuses, but normally we're going to use Shutterfly, and so we'll talk about that in a minute here. So you volunteer at your event, and then you're going to have your supervisor or coordinator at the event sign your hours log, certifying that you were at the event and you were helpful. Okay, and then at those deadlines, that December and that March deadline, you are going to turn in your hour log into the appropriate assignment on Schoology. So each hour log entry needs to be filled out completely, and you're going to use the same log all year. Right? So we'll look at that, and then there's an example when you're filling out your out of club. Right? So you'd have your volunteer opportunity, you'd fill out your NHS hour log sheet. And then, again, once you have all of those, you're going to submit your copy to the assignment. So in the past, we've had students take pictures, but we're moving away from that. And whether it's in club or out of club, you're going to get a signature from whoever they are supervising. So if you were at concessions with me last night, you'd want to get my signature to sign off on that. I know we've had a couple of events so far. So if that's something that you didn't get a signature for like the ushering for the band concerts or the concessions, talk to me about that, and I'll help you sign off on that so you are ready for next year and that those hours count. Okay? Okay, so let's look at that hours log really quick. If you go to the December NHS hours log assignment, there's an attachment there. And I have some paper copies too. If you prefer a paper copy, you can take as many as you want. And you can like keep track of that paper copy throughout the year. If you prefer the digital copy, this is something that you can have on your phone, on your iPad, so then you just bring it. And then, like, so again, like Vanessa was at concessions with me yesterday, so she could give me her iPad. I'd sign off on her iPad, and she'd be good to go for that. Okay? So you can look at it again. It's pretty self-explanatory. You got your first and last name at the top there. And then for each event, you're going to say the name of the organization, so whatever you're doing, so maybe, right, again, whatever you're doing, so maybe it was the concessions, maybe it was the orchestra concert, maybe it's donating blood. Then you'd say the exact date of service, how many hours you were there, and for the hours, say how many hours you were there, right? So just because on Shutterfly, if I say that it's going to go from like about 6 to 8, if it goes from 6 to 8:30, put down 2.5 hours, okay? So sometimes, especially with like concessions or PTO or different things like that, there's just a suggested date, but maybe cleanup takes longer. So put how long you were there, all right? Supervisor contacts name, so again, whoever's in charge of you, whoever tells you what to do, just get their John Hancock really quick before you leave. And then have them write their phone number, and then you're gonna describe what you did at the event, right? So I did concessions, I sold concessions, I counted money, I whatever. Or ushering for the band concert, right? I directed people to their seats before the band concert. Okay? Again, hopefully pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. Questions, comments, concerns about the hour log? Okay, so you're gonna have 1 hour log. You're gonna keep track of it all year, right? And then in December, you're gonna turn in your first 10 hours. And then by March, you're gonna have all 20 hours. You can turn it in before then. If you have all 20 of your hours the first day of school, that's awesome. Turn it in. And then keep volunteering, because volunteering is great. But whenever you get those 20 hours or those 10 hours, right, turn it into that assignment and you're good to go. Okay? Yes?
With the exact dates of service, if it's a weekly thing that you do, how would you notate that?
So you could just have them fill out one for each time. Like each time you're there, you could have them sign it. Yeah. Good question. Other questions? Yes.
So do you want us to submit it 10 hours at a time, like 2 different 10-hour ones, or if you do like all 20 before December, just in there?
So if you have all 20 before, feel free to submit the 20. Otherwise, you can do the 10. Yep. Okay. Then a couple last things. Make sure you're accountable, right? National Honor Society, part of that is that character, that leadership piece. If you sign up for something, it is your job to show up. This is a pet peeve of mine because I'm in charge of getting people there. And if I find out that people signed up and they did not come, oh my goodness, I get so mad and sad at the same time. Please do not do that. Okay? If life gets in the way and you absolutely cannot go, you have a couple of options. One, you need to remove your name from the event on Shutterfly. You are able to do that. You don't need me to do that. Okay? So when you're looking at Shutterfly, make sure you kind of play around with it, see how it works. Because again, that's something that you can control. So you need to take that off 48 hours beforehand. If it's after 48 hours, if it's like the day before, it is your job to find a replacement. Okay? So ask a friend, right? Reach out to put an update on school. You say, hey, I can't make it. Can anybody take this opportunity off my hands? Okay? If you absolutely cannot find anybody, that is when you would come to myself or Mr. Curdy or Miss Simonson. All right? But be accountable, be responsible. Again, this is your organization, right? We want to make sure we're exemplifying those pillars, that character and that leadership. We want people to invite us back, and part of that is that responsibility piece. Okay? All right. And remember, you're representing Cheyenne, right? You are the Cheyenne NHS. Wear it with pride. Yes?
Does donating plasma count as like donating, or would that count as the same as donating blood?
Donating plasma does not count. And part of that is because I know that sometimes you're able to get paid for the plasma, so just donating blood. Yeah. Other questions? Okay. Then that last slide. So again, if you fail to uphold those 4 pillars, if you're unable to complete your hours, if your cumulative unweighted GPA falls below that 3.5, if you're caught cheating in any way, shape, or form, okay, anything like that, those are things that where you would be dismissed from NHS. Okay, so if you are currently a member, so you did your hours for this past year, you would be dismissed. If you're a probationary member, you would not be inducted. Okay. All right. You look like an excellent group of students, though, so I really don't feel like we need to worry about any of that, do you? Right? Okay. So other questions, comments, concerns off the top of your head right now? Feel like you understand how to fill out that hours log? Yeah. And remember, any questions you have on anything or those in-club, out-of-club hours, just shoot us a message. So we're going to do 2 more things before we head out today. One, I know some people came in at different times, so everybody is positive that they can see this Schoology course, right? This Cheyenne NHS 2021-2022, and it's the course, not the group, right? If you are not in that for any way, shape, or form, do you want to stay and talk to me afterward, please?
not sure if I have amnesia or something, but I believe seeing some notifications before I got the group, and I checked the updates page, and I see that there's only one update. Was there another page that was sending out, or another person that was sending out updates consistently?
I'll get back to you, okay, when I can come look at it. All right, so then the other thing we're going to do today is we're going to sign up for Shutterfly. Now, I need you to sign up for Shutterfly today because your link for Shutterfly will expire. All right, I've done this before. So you're going to go to your email. All right, if you don't have a device that you can get to your email on, you're going to do this as soon as you have a device available to you. All right, you're going to go to your email and you're going to look for an email from Shutterfly. It may or may not have my name on it, but it's from Shutterfly.
Is that our school email?
It's your school email. You got it. It's your school email. Yep, and you should have something. Maybe it's in your junk. Maybe if you have like the focused or the not focused inboxes, you're going to find your Shutterfly email. And the instructions in there should be pretty specific. They're going to have a link that you're going to follow, and you're going to create an account. When you create an account, that's your account. I have only so much I can do to access that. So when you make your password for that, you want to make sure it's something that you're going to remember.
I made one with my personal email from the link on Schoology. Is that fine, or should I redo it?
That'll be fine, as long as you remember.
You had to like ask for permission from.
Okay, so then if you had to ask for permission, then that's something that should come to me. So if I don't approve that in the next couple of days, then go in and try and follow the other link.
Can I do that too, because I just signed up for it on my personal email?
Okay. Okay, so anybody not see their Shutterfly email?